I don't write from nowhere. I write what I know and what I wish I knew. So last week I talked a bit about how authors talk about how they write what they know, but I seem to be writing more of what I wish I knew. So I thought I would elaborate on that a little bit this week. One of the big things that I talked about was, of course, a big change in Maggie and her family's life was this move. We've all had to make decisions to move. There's nobody that hasn't moved at least a couple times, I would think. But Maggie's family had to make this decision. You know, the dad goes missing. They need to make things easier, so they move into his ancestral home in a different state. Of course, they moved from California to Washington State. I didn't ever move because somebody went missing, but I did move a lot, especially growing up. In between, up until the 8th grade, we actually sometimes moved 1, 2, 3 times a year. 8th grade, and I don't mean to a new house, I mean to a new state. When you live like that, such a transient life, you get used to just not knowing anybody. You get where you don't make friends, you don't get close to people because you're just going to move. So what's the point? 8th grade. With Maggie, I just do make this one move once, and they seem to be so resilient, but in a different way. I mean, they're moving with other things on their minds, much more important, bigger things like their missing dad, and the move was just part of that. But they were able to move. They were excited about starting school. Her sisters Daisy and Poppy were excited to meet their new teacher and see their new building. Maggie was able to make new friends so quickly, and I find that fascinating because it just got where I wasn't able to do that. And in my mind, moving to a new place, especially when you had never moved before, might be just as scary, if not scarier. And Maggie has had this friend. I was able to write a friend for her, Shelley, who she's known since she was in kindergarten. And writing that story was interesting because that's not something I've ever experienced. Now, at my age, the oldest friend I've had has been 11 years, 12 years, and she's my friend now, so it was very late, much later in my life. But my husband, he was born in this area, raised in this area. You know, we're not young, we're in our mid-50s. He's got friends that he's known since junior high. They go have coffee, they do these different things, and for me that's just interesting. It's something, even though I watch it and, you know, I'm friends with them and all of that, but I can't wrap my head around living in the same place for so long, knowing people for so long. I mean, they've known each other almost their whole lives, and I don't even know my brothers that well. Friends, I love that because that is something that just is really hard for me even now as an adult. I have my small group of friends. I have a few friends that I'm really close to, but I'm not someone who is out socializing and having all the fun and all the parties and things like that. That's just not who I am. I tend to be very guarded. And you know, I say all these things and it's not a complaint. It's not a good or a bad. It just is what it is. My life is happy. I like where I'm at. I like who I am. But, you know, these are just differences in the way that my life has been versus the way I'm writing Maggie's family. More about that. Now, I don't want this to be an all me talking kind of podcast. I would love, once I have some followers and I've got people that are interested, I would love to open this up eventually to conversations with people. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to talk about different aspects of the book and how they relate to my life, how I came up with the ideas, where I got my information, and I'm looking forward to doing all that. But I would really love to know more about what you all think. So I'm going to pose a question today. I would love for people to comment in the comments on this video. Have you ever moved, and was it often, and how did you feel about it? Was it good for you, do you feel, or was it bad? I don't say these things being good or bad, they just are. This is my life. I'm very happy where I'm at. I've got friends, I've got my family, and things are good. It's not a whiny, poor me thing. It's just, it is what it is. And these are where a lot of my ideas came from my books, and things that have made me think while I'm writing the books that I hadn't thought about before. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I'd love to see what you all have to say in the comments below. So let me know how you feel. And if anybody has any questions or any things they would like to hear me talk about, let me know down in the comments as well. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Maybe we don't write what we know. Maybe we write what we needed.